Good morning. I just want to do a sound check. Can you hear me okay? If you can, just one person needs to respond. That's fine. Okay, great. Well, let's get started then. So thank you for joining me this morning. A few things before we start. You should be muted already, but if not, please mute your phones. And if you have any questions along the way, please go ahead and enter them in the chat box below. Enter them to all panelists. So let's get started. First of all, introduce myself. My name is Cathryn Noyes. I'm part of the admissions team. I've been with MIT for about 5 years, and this will be my 5th class that I'll be placing. What we're going to be talking about today is, first, I'll just give you a little background on MIT Sloan and the Sloan Fellows program, an overview of the curriculum and how you can customize your education. And then, because we have one more admissions, 2 more rounds, one coming up in December, a little more detail on what we're looking for in the admissions process. So first of all, an important thing to note about this institution is that it's a mission-driven institution. It was always the mission of MIT to educate students in science and technology in ways that can serve the world. MIT Sloan is really the business part of that mission, and we really look to develop innovative, principled leaders who can go out and change the world for the better. We're looking to develop innovative and principled leaders with the skills to actually go out and lead transformation in their organizations and communities. So what is the Sloan Fellows MBA program? It's a 12-month full-time program. At the end of the program, you will earn an MBA. If you choose to do a thesis, you can get a Master of Science in Management or Management of Technology, depending on the topic of your thesis. You're fully immersed in this environment of MIT and MIT Sloan. The 12 months that you're here will be busy and active, and we'll give you access to all of the resources across MIT Sloan, MIT, and the broader area of Boston and Cambridge, and other institutions nearby, such as Harvard. The curriculum is very flexible. There's lots of ways to customize your own academic journey with electives that you choose and other experiences that you choose. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. It's a great opportunity to develop relationships in this amazingly diverse community. And fellows with families find this to be enriching not only for themselves, but for their spouses and their children. So let's take a closer look at the academics of the program. First of all, our education philosophy is really based on the science of management and data. We look to make data-driven decisions, not just your gut feel or based on what you've done in the past, but what the data is telling you. We look at innovation and entrepreneurship and include those principles in everything we do, looking at new ways of doing new things. We look at complex, thorny issues and problems and tackle those. And we're really looking, as I said, to develop principled leaders, so leaders who are ethical and thoughtful about the world and the mission, and are looking to really innovate and shake up their industries, their organizations, and providing not just short-term solutions, but really systemic change. The 3 pillars that we base this program on are leadership, innovation, and global perspective. So innovative leaders who have a global perspective, who appreciate and can work in multicultural environments, who have global networks, who have a deep understanding of how economic, social, and political factors impact the world, impact business, and impact organization. We teach you how to be a champion for innovation. There is sort of not a formula, but a method that we use to implement change and innovation in your organization that we will share with you. And the bottom line is really to develop yourself as a leader in your own organization and community, enhancing your own leadership styles. We have the privilege of world-class researchers who have worked in industry. They're not just professors. They also do a lot of things outside of MIT and with MIT and in commercial aspects. So they have a really strong foundation in the business world. The faculty director is Simon Johnson. He's a former chief economist of the IMF around the 2008 period, which was a very interesting time. He teaches artificial intelligence. He's an expert at blockchain. He's written books on economics. He's an amazing and multi-talented guy. Tavneet is also an economics professor. She's very active in Africa and in other economic research. John Sturman is director of the MIT Systems Dynamics Group. Systems Dynamics was developed at MIT by Jay Forrester, and John Sturman was his mentee. So let's talk a little bit about the culture. So the fellows that coming in are high achieving, they're successful, they're focused on what they want to do. They're very independent. You have to be pretty independent at MIT to plan your path. There's so many resources here that you have to be proactive to go out and look for what you're interested in and what your opportunities are. They're collaborative and foster a sense of mutual respect. So there's not a lot of competition in this school. It's really more about helping each other, helping the team, helping the class succeed. And they develop a very strong personal and professional community of fellows and with their significant others, which is the term we use for spouses or partners. And they take quite seriously the mantra, no fellow left behind. So if someone's struggling in a particular area or someone else can help, they step up and try to help them all pass the class or all achieve their goals. It's a very, I think, unique culture here. So a little bit more information about the academics. The program components, there's two parts. One is the academics and the other is your personal and professional development, how you're going to develop your own leadership skills, what other experiences you want to be in to enhance your success here. In terms of academics, there are a mix of core courses and many elective courses to choose from. You could choose to do a thesis or an independent study. There are student-led treks and special study modules, project-based learning, which are projects that you work on with a team in a company to address a particular issue. And there's many special sessions on a wide range of topics, sustainability, innovation, fintech, whatever you can think of. MIT has many, many speakers here every day to enhance your knowledge. In terms of personal and professional development, a good way to learn is about your peers within the cohort. You will learn a lot from them about what the possibilities are, what they are doing, what business is like in other countries and other industries. We also provide executive coaching, both for you individually and in your lab team. So when you arrive on campus, we assign you to a team of about 5, which will be together for the whole summer, and your projects will be done within that team for the whole summer. After that, in the fall, you can create your own study teams if you like. The last piece is career development. We want to make it very clear that this is not a placement organization. We do not recruit for this program. We do not guarantee placement. What we do is to help you understand what your goals are, what success means to you, and then with the academic coaching, the executive coaching, the leadership coaching, and your career coaching to help you design your year here to position you for success. We will offer a lot of support in terms of helping you understand what executive recruiting looks like, to help you understand different industries, to give you networking opportunities. But because the class is so diverse in terms of country and industry, this year they're from 37 different industries and 37 different countries. We cannot run a recruiting program that is suitable for people that diverse and at the level of jobs they're seeking. But we do provide a lot of support and coaching as you decide where you want your career to go. This is what the year looks like. The class is filled by the end of March, and we have an orientation in April. The class is optional, but most fellows choose to attend. It's a week where we communicate the classroom culture. The current class supports and drives a lot of the content that that week, although the program team, of course, does a lot as well. But this is a great time for the current fellows to welcome you, to share the culture, to share, to begin networking with them, to help you understand the social opportunities. It also gives you a chance to take care of some of your administrative items, like looking for schools, identifying housing, and to get started with academic prep. So you will participate in some case studies to help you see what's going to be like to be back in the classroom. Most of you have been out for a while. And we will also launch the 360-degree leadership survey, which is the foundation of your leadership development. It's a survey that is given to your bosses, peers, and subordinates for input and insight into your own leadership style. In the summer, we start with a short orientation to get you mostly to start developing the culture of the class, help you get to know each other, do some coaching with your teams. All of the courses offered in the summer are foundation or core courses. There are no electives, which makes it pretty easy. You don't have to make any choices when you arrive here. There's a lot of work on leadership development, teamwork, working together, and we start looking at your leadership assessment and working with executive coaches during the summer. The goal is really to build a learning community, help you understand the resources, and get you started for a successful year. The courses here listed in red are the core courses that are required for each semester. This is the way it is this year. It may change from year to year, but it's relatively stable from year to year. Fall and spring are mixes of core and elective courses. We bring in senior executives and entrepreneurs to address the class on a regular basis. If you wanted to do a thesis, you would design it in the fall, get it signed off with a professor, and then begin working on that thesis usually in the winter period and through the spring. The winter period is something called the independent activities period. It's MIT-wide. We offer hundreds of different electives in lots of different formats. So they may be 1 day or 2 day workshops. It may be three full week workshops. Sometimes they're just 2 hours. They range from, I saw a 2-hour class on how to play poker with some of the professors to communications, negotiation. There's lots of different topics to choose from, and it's really to give you a chance to try out some different subjects that you might not have had time to study for before. Here's a sampling of some of the most popular electives. They change from year to year. Some of them are added or removed based on feedback we get from the current students. Let's see if these are some of the more popular ones. So let's talk about ways you can shape your educational experience. You're going to be here for 1 year. It's not all about the electives and the courses. There's an awful lot more opportunity here to help you really customize what your year is going to be based on your individual goals. Before you even come to MIT, you should do some research on what the school has to offer and do a lot of thinking about what you want to get out of this year. So this is 1 year. It's a big investment in time and money, and it'll go by very fast. So you should be thinking in advance what you want to be prepared for when you graduate. What kind of position are you going to be looking for? What kind of industry are you looking to transition to, if that's what you're interested in? And you work with your career development office and with a program office and your coaches to chart your own path by choosing electives or experiences that are going to help you meet your academic and professional goals. So it's a very personal journey. Here's just some opportunities to shape your own educational experience. You can participate in project-based learning opportunities. There are a lot of projects that are available to students to participate in retail, energy, lots of different industries. You can write a thesis and do some research here. It's a great way to develop your network, to develop a really in-depth understanding of a particular research area. You can network across MIT Sloan, Boston, Harvard, and abroad. In a broader basis, you can really form a very strong network. We have lots of events and conferences and groups and clubs that you can join. Last night we had the pitch students were allowed to pitch their ideas. They had to be accepted into, their idea had to be accepted, and then they could present their idea to the audience for the 100K competition last night. Students got up and then you vote on which teams are going to go forward. And we had 2 Sloan Fellows teams pitching last night. The Center for Interest in Entrepreneurship, the Martin Trust Center, is just across the street. It's for all of MIT. It's not just for Sloan Fellows, so it gives you a really great opportunity to be a part of the wider MIT ecosystem and work with people from all different programs. You will meet leaders from many, many different industries with diverse perspectives and outlooks and experiences that you can learn from. And you can also mentor students here as well. A third option is to complete a certificate in healthcare sustainability or business analytics. These tend to be, these are groupings of 5 electives that you choose. Some are required and some are elected. I'm not sure which percentage of the students take a certificate. I know that business analytics has become extremely popular. And you can work with your academic coach to make sure you can set up your schedule to earn the certificate. So let's talk about admissions. First of all, who are we looking for? So the Sloan Fellows MBAs are mid-career professionals with a proven track record of accomplishment in leadership. We're looking for career progression faster than your peers. We're looking for examples of impact you have made on your organization, innovations you've introduced, leadership that you've demonstrated. Your recommenders should be able to give us examples and talk about this specifically. The fellows represent many, many different industries and backgrounds, 37 different countries, 37 different industries in this year's class. They're highly motivated, they're collaborative. We specifically look for people we think will work together in teams and work well together. It's a great mix of diverse students. Some are sponsored, some are not, some are entrepreneurs from their own companies or other startups, some work for large companies. They're willing to take a year away and really focus on this program and accept that they are a work in progress. If they already knew everything, they wouldn't need to come here. So everyone, no matter what job they're coming from, they come here as peers, peers that are working together to learn and to grow and to be a part of this community. Quickly, this is what the class looks like this year. Average age is 38, average years of work experience is 14. This is common through all the years. We don't actually aim for these numbers, but it always comes out at 38 years old and 14 years of work experience. The range of ages is early 30s to probably early 50s. Work experience is generally is minimum of 10 years, but the average is 14. 23% women, and we're always looking to increase that number. Many of them come to us already with degrees in law or PhDs or medical degrees, and many already have MBAs, which is possible. Usually people take an MBA earlier in their career, and it's really all about skills, acquiring skills, where this MBA is something about that, but the experience is really totally different in this peer group. So who's our ideal candidate? 10 years is the minimum for professional work experience, and we want to see advancement and impact in those 10 years. People will often try to convince me that they have 7 years and they're operating at the level of people in their company with more experience, and we are not swayed by that. In general, we want a good, solid background of leadership experiences, working in different companies, so you have a wealth of experiences and understanding to fall back on when you're learning these new concepts. We want to see leadership and management impact. Strong academics, we're looking at your GPA, we're looking at your test scores. You need quant skills. So coming in, you really should know how to do calculus. You should know about statistics. Everything here at MIT is data. So when we're looking at the data, we're looking at normal distributions and that sort of thing. So those things should be something you are comfortable with. We want people with a global perspective. Sometimes that often means working in different countries, but it also means working in multicultural environments, being aware of what's going on in the world, learning lessons from the economy and from other countries and how in industries and how you can apply it to your own. Speaking and writing in English is extremely important. We no longer require the TOEFL, but your English will be evaluated in phone calls and in interviews. We can do conditional admits for some applicants that are very strong, but their English needs work. But this is something you very much need to work on if English is a challenge. And lastly, we want people that are really self-aware, that understand they're a work in progress, that they have weaknesses, that there are things that they're trying to improve, and that are committed to growing and learning while they're here. But here's some general tips. We're looking for your application to demonstrate evidence of the things that I've outlined, the global perspective, the innovation, the leadership. We want specific evidence from you and your recommenders on these things. We're looking for reasons to admit you. When we read the application and we interview you, we want to admit you. We're not looking for to poke holes in you or to challenge you. We really want to assemble a great class of people who are engaged and excited about this program. As I mentioned before, you should really think carefully about why you want to attend this program and take your time to put together a thoughtful and complete application. People have often told me that they really enjoyed the application process because it was the first time they really sort of stepped back and thought about where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do, and it was very useful for them. Make sure you answer all the questions accurately and follow the directions. It sounds pretty basic, but people will take an essay and not answer the question, they won't address it. Sometimes it's because they've written a general essay for other applications and they try to adapt it for us, but it doesn't really answer the question. That is, you should follow all directions. If it says 500 words, it should be 500 words. If it says 2 pages, it should be 2 pages. That's just common sense, and that's the bottom line. And the last part is be authentic. So you can use an MBA counselor to help you, but don't let them write it. Don't let them guide you too much because it needs to be your own thoughts and your own words. We want to know who you are, not who your consultant is. These are our requirements. These are all pretty straightforward. Note about a few of them. I'm going to go over each one of them next in a little bit more detail, but these are the requirements we have right now. So let's look at the resume. This is a business resume, not an academic resume. So you don't need to submit a 40-page resume with every research project you've done and every article you've ever written. This is a business resume, no more than 2 pages. I've gotten 40-page resumes, and that's not good. We have a lot of applications to read. 40-page resume really bogs you down, and it is not necessary. Be concise. I see resumes in lots of different orders. We tell you what we want to see exactly, so please follow the directions. Have your employment history at the beginning in reverse chronological order, which means your most recent first. We want to see your title, the company, and when you were there, the years or months that you were there. If there are any gaps in your work history because you left for school or you left to travel around the world or whatever you did, please address that. You can do that in the additional information essay. Other information appropriate to this resume is encouraged, including extracurricular activities and awards. Take out your name, address, and contact information. This is in response to some new data and information regulations that have been put in place mostly in Europe that will probably spread. For the cover letter, this is your opportunity to tell us why you are seeking a place in our class. Why should you be in our program? This is your chance to sell yourself to us, to tell us what impact you will make and what you plan to do with this education. There is an essay that's required, 500 words or less. Please pay attention. Address each part of the question. So briefly describe the situation. We're asking you to tell us about a time you were on a team that had competing priorities, and select a situation that meets those criteria. Sometimes it's a problem between sales and marketing. Sometimes it's in a team and you have a lot of different people with different agendas. How did you first describe the situation and what challenges did you see? What role did you play in the situation? Were you an observer? Did you have any authority? Did you make changes? Did you propose solutions, or did you just sit back and not do anything? Let us understand what you learned and how it has changed the way you dealt with experiences then. The letters of recommendation. We are now using the Collin letter of recommendation, and you can find more information online about that. It's very straightforward. You supply us with emails of the people you want to recommend, and we send them the links and some notes about what we're looking for. As I mentioned, we wanted evidence of impact, leadership, and career progression. So choose people carefully that can give firsthand observations about those things. Some people will ask if I can get my chairman to write the letter, I can get my CEO to write the letter. If you work for them and they know you quite well and can give you a great recommendation with lots of details, that's fine, but we don't necessarily consider the title of the person. If they're the chairman, but they can't really give any information or examples for you, that their recommendation is not likely to be very useful. You should prepare your recommenders by explaining what the goal of the program is, what the things are that you're looking for, what you hope to get out of the experience, and what you'd like them to include in your recommendation. If you're being sponsored by your company, one of the recommendations must be from your supervisor. It should explain how you were nominated and indicate that they will be supporting you. People will often ask who should they choose for recommenders if they're in a different type of situation. For instance, if they're running their own company, or they've had lots of different managers, or they're oftentimes people in certain industries like business consulting or private equity will come together to temporarily lead a team, and then they disband and they come together for another opportunity, so they don't really have this manager. So you need to think carefully about someone who can speak to the things that I've been talking about, that can talk about your success, your progression, leadership, work ethic, impact, and so forth. They may be a board member, a client you worked on, or a business partner. So you know what we're looking for, so think about the person who can best describe these things to us. The video statement seems to be the piece that causes people the most stress. It really shouldn't. It's 60 seconds. Try to be a little relaxed about it. Imagine yourself in front of the class. You're introducing yourself to the class. You speak to the camera. We don't want it edited. You really shouldn't. We don't even want you to practice it that much. Just talk to the camera about who you are, a little bit professional, a little bit personal, and it's only 60 seconds. But you should not get too stressed out about this. I know a lot of people do, but try to be a little casual and relaxed when you're doing it. The org chart, we have a YouTube video up about that. People seem to stress about this. Most companies will have an org chart. You need to select the situation that works best for you. So if you're in a small company, maybe you do the entire organization. If you're in a big company, you do it up to your division or whatever makes sense for you. It should be the org chart for the position you are currently in with your own title. Limit it to 2 pages. Make sure we can see where you are. I've seen organization charts submitted where it takes me 10 minutes to find out where you are on the page. So make it easy for us to find you. What we're really looking for is to see where you fit in the overall organization, who you report to, who reports to you, gives us an idea of the level of your position and authority. And if you have questions, the application should give you guidelines, and there's also a video on YouTube on what we're looking for. We need all undergraduate and graduate transcripts. They should be in English. We do not want certificate programs or short-term programs or pictures of degrees or awards. We just want the transcripts of the classes and grades. The last piece is the GMAT, GRE, or Executive Assessment Score. Last year we started accepting the executive assessment, which is developed by GMAT. which is the same organization that does the GMAT. There are no waivers. I'm getting questions this fall about, can I have a waiver because I have a PhD, or can I have a waiver because I've worked for 17 years? And the answer is no. This is required of all applications. The score that's submitted must be valid, which means it was taken within the last 5 years. We have no preference over which test you take. We are recommending in general that students might want to look at the executive assessment. It seems to be a shorter test and one that takes less time to prepare than the GMAT. If you've taken the GMAT, the average is about 680. The interview. So once you submit your application, the team reads them and then decides who we want to interview, and we will issue invitations by email. Those that are not going to continue in the process will also be notified. The interviews are face-to-face with a member of the admissions committee. If you're selected for an interview, we'll send you that invitation by email in advance so you can prepare. You can always interview in Cambridge. You always have that choice, and when you do, we provide lunch for you with some current students so you can ask them some questions. We also offer interviews in multiple locations around the world. So we have several team members already out on the road doing interviews right now for people who submitted in round 1. The interviews are about 30 to 45 minutes long and build on what we've already learned about you. We will have read the application and asked you specific questions about your background, what you've done in certain situations in the past. This is a behavioral question interview, and you have the opportunity also to ask questions of your interviewer. If you're invited for an interview, you will be given another essay to respond to before the interview. This is the question that you'll see. During the interview, you should be able to explain what you've done, how you've addressed certain situations, and what you plan to do going forward, and why MIT, and specifically MIT Sloan Fellows program, is going to help you get where you want to go. After all the applications have been reviewed, we interview a part of the pool. We're reviewed by members of our admissions team. Interviews are conducted by members of our admissions team. We don't use students, we don't use alumni. It's all by the team. We look at the entire candidate. So I often get questions about what's the minimum GMAT that you'll accept, or what is the minimum listing that you're looking for. And we don't have minimums. We look at everyone as the entire candidate. So you do need to demonstrate academic prowess via your test scores and your transcripts, and that's definitely something we're looking for. But there's also the work experience and impact is a huge part of it. How do you work with teams? How do you approach problems? How have you made impact in your career? What kind of goals have you set and achieved for yourself? So there's lots of things we consider. There's no one piece of the application that's going to either ensure that you get in or ensure that you do not. So consider all of the pieces of the application important. Here's the application deadlines. The first one obviously passed. It was in October. We've read all the applications. We are currently interviewing, and we will release decisions on December 17th. The next round, round 2, is in December. We recommend strongly that all international applicants apply by round 2, because if you wait until round 3, it's very, very late in the cycle. Orientation is the second week of April, so if you don't find out to the end of March, if you're an international applicant, it's pretty hard to set up everything you need in terms of your visa and your housing and so forth that late. So we strongly recommend that you apply by round 2. So I will open it up to questions now. Anyone has any questions, I'm happy to respond. We suggest you staying connected with us. If you have not registered, please do. Then you get on our email list, and we'll let you know when the deadlines are coming up, give you pointers to things that you might want to be aware of. start your application. It's online right now. Join us for these webinars or information sessions. So does anyone have any questions that I can respond to? Yeah, this webinar is being recorded, so we can post the recording and the PowerPoint deck. Harpreet, results are announced on a single day. So the chart that I showed you, you will hear your result on the day that I showed you in the chart. Scholarships are available. About 15% of the class will receive awards from the admissions committee in the range of $10,000 to $25,000. On the admissions, on our main page, if you go to the admissions tab, there's a tab called tuition and expenses, and you can see links to the Federal Credit Union where you can get loans. You can you get links to other financial sources of scholarships. Allie, in terms of starting the program off cycle, no, we run June to June, one class per year. Rodrigo, if you're not an analyst, I assume you mean, are you who you choose for your recommender? We really are looking for management experience. So when you apply, you should have good general management experience and team management. If you do not have that, you might want to consider waiting until you have the experience that we're looking for. If you are at a high enough level, and I mentioned earlier that sometimes consultants or people in certain industries, they come together to lead a team, and then the team is dispersed and they do another team, but they don't lead a consistent department. You can ask someone you've worked with and said, or a colleague or partner or someone that has overseen your work. For Clay, I do not have a list of theses. I would imagine that if you looked around online, that you would be able to find them. They're all published in the library. Theses, they just range depending on the interest of the students. So they've done them on fintech. They've done them on how to take learning from one industry to the other. They've turned into business plans that then lead to companies being launched. There's a wide range, but you probably have to poke around for some of that. For the GMAT, you can start the application process anytime, but you must submit all pieces of your application, including test scores. So you have to have your test score uploaded when you submit the application, or it will not be considered complete. We'll give you a few days grace to get the GMAT score in, but you cannot submit your application and then take the GMAT the next month. If you do that, you'd be considered for the next round. So our deadline is December 10th. If you had your test score on the 12th or the 13th, you could upload it and that would be fine. But if you're waiting till the 1st of January, then we would consider your application for round 3. Yes, we do have people, about 55% of the class have advanced degrees already. Sometimes they have several advanced degrees, and sometimes those are MBAs. Generally, those MBAs were taken earlier in their career, and based on mostly skill acquisition, understanding how finance economics and operations work and so forth. So at this level, we're really looking at developing you as a senior leader that can oversee global operations and innovation. So and the cohort is very experienced, so the learning experience is very different. If you do have an MBA already, you should be prepared to explain why you want another one, but that's not uncommon. Silky's talking about your organization. I would put in your organization for your past role in your company, but describe on the org chart that you are now on your own. So that helps us to understand the experience you've had in a larger organization, where you came from, but make sure we understand what you're doing now. In terms of the admissions committee considering candidates doing a career switch, I would say that many of our fellows are pursuing a transformation and a transition to something different. So generally, you can change your role, your industry, your geography. A lot of people are looking to do that. We say it's easy to change one of those. 2 is challenging, 3 is quite impossible. So if you're looking to, like, for example, move to the US, change your industry in a different role, that's going to be very difficult to find a job in. But many fellows do come here to pursue a different career track, and that's very common. Ashwin, I'm not sure who you're talking about with the 2018 alum. I believe that we just started requiring the executive, we stopped waivers for that 2018 alum. So we stopped the waivers and added the executive assessment. There are no waivers. Interviews are being conducted around the world. So yes, we are going to South America. We have somebody right now who is in London. We have somebody in Asia who will be going through Tokyo, I think Bangkok, and to India, and we have South America. So there are many different cities to choose from. You indicate on your application your top 3 choices. Regarding this last question about career progression, you only have 8 years, so that is not enough. You need at least 10. But also people coming from the technical field, what we're really looking at is management. We need management experience. So if you're looking to apply to a program like this, you need to move into a position where you're leading teams and you're making an impact. You're not just a technical contributor. So I would say you are not ready with only 8 years of experience. We need real business experience and general management experience. Mohammed, I'm not sure what your question is. Is there any in Saudi Arabia? We have a number of fellows every year in Saudi Arabia. I do not believe we are not interviewing in Saudi Arabia as far as I know. We will probably be going to Dubai. That's probably your closest location, but you enter the cities that you prefer, and then we look at the entire interview pool and decide where we're going to interview that is closest to most of the applicants. So we can't go everywhere, but we do try to choose at least 15 worldwide locations. Any last questions? In terms of entrepreneurship experience, yeah, that's considered management. It really depends on the size of the company and the firm and what you've done. I mean, I've had applicants say they're CEO of this particular organization, and then I'll go Google that organization. And I see that it's just like a one-man operation selling T-shirts or something. So be very straightforward in terms of the company that you're leading, how large it is, how many people there are, how much money you're making. So we can assess whether you really do have the experience. But yes, entrepreneurship, leading your own company is considered as part of your work experience. Okay, I hopefully have answered all your questions. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email the email on the bottom left of the screen. We also have other webinars, information coming up as a web chat. I don't have the answer to this last question. Courses offered from the MIT D Lab. I'm not sure what you mean. So great. Have a great day, everyone. I thank you for spending your time with me, and have a great day. Take care.